like to call order this regular meeting of the Zion City Council to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell?
Here.
Commissioner Holmes?
Here.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Fisher?
Here. Next item up is pledge of allegiance to the flag. Mr. Brenner, would you lead us to the flag and pledge allegiance?
Please join me in pledging allegiance to our flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir.
Pastor Fielding,
Yes.
thank you for coming tonight.
I'd like to share just one verse with you. It's in Malachi 6, verse 8. He has shown you, O man, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you but to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. And I would use that as an outline for my prayer tonight. Father, we come to you today, God, and we just thank you for your love, and we thank you for your kindness that you've extended toward us. And Lord, we do take this verse of Scripture tonight, and God, we do pray that you would help us to act justly, to do what is right in your eyes at all times. And God, we also pray that you would give us a heart of love and mercy, God, that we would show genuine compassion toward our fellow man, and Lord, to walk humbly with you. God, to love you and to exalt your word over all things. And Lord, we do pray for our city. And God, we'd ask that you would bless our leaders, bless our police and firemen. God, we also look to our active military and just ask, God, that you would watch over each one of them. God, as your word also says, that unless the Lord watches the city, they that watch in vain. And so, God, we ask for your continued hand upon us. And we ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, sir. Next item up is agenda changes. Do any of the commissioners have any changes tonight? Is there a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fisher?
Aye. Next up will be citizens' comments. I just mentioned briefly, Mayor McKinney is not here tonight. He is in Springfield, doing some conversations with the state legislature. So he's doing city business down there. First up on citizens' comments, Mr. Brunner.
Mayor Pro Tem Fisher, our gentlelady, honorable sirs, I stand before you this evening to call your attention to the window stickers for vehicles in the city of Zion. Many people don't realize, because I am tall, rugged, good-looking, and incredibly modest, that I am in fact a senior citizen. I find it necessary to come in and apply for one of these every 2 years, although I do not have to pay for it. I therefore request that you consider the idea of a forever sticker for people of my situation, one time only, put it in their car, and not have to come in every 2 years. Now, it was pointed out to me that this would require a special run for stickers without dates on them. That is true, but they could be stockpiled because it would not require dates. You could order a bunch of them and have them sitting there for however long it would take. And these stickers for senior citizens could be good for the lifetime of the car, or the vehicle, rather. I do thank you for your time, your courtesy, and your consideration of this matter. I request permission to stand down, sir.
Granted. Thank you, sir. Mr. Brian Dixon.
Hello, how you doing?
Good evening.
Good. I just have a question, a concern about our community that we don't have a movie theater that we used to. Back in the days, I think it was like early 90s, we had a Dooms Theater, and it was all torn down, which I can understand why. But I don't think there's things that we used to have, but now we don't have anything in Zion. Nothing. Nothing to do on the weekends. All I can see is just fast food restaurants and pretty much is all I see is like small business. We should have more better jobs, better paying jobs. Also, we need more, let's see, bowling alley, that was closed, bowling was closed. Those things like that I've seen, but I know they're building a Popeye's chicken on 33rd on Sheridan Road. I noticed they're building that. That's good. That's a good thing. We never had that in Zion. That's something new. But other than that, I don't think we need any more fast food restaurants. What I think we need is more entertainment, live entertainment, more better activities, bringing in our communities. That's all I can say.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Wendy Driver?
Good evening, Part-Time Mayor Fisher and Commissioners. And I wanted to let you know just a little bit about what Buzz has been up to. It dawned on me that I've never come before you guys to let you know what Building Up Zion, that's what Buzz stands for, what we have done this past year and what we are doing this year. So last year we had 28 volunteers donate 126 hours. That's not including planning and prepping, which would take it into the several hundred hours. Work to do some beautiful things around the city. The first thing that we did was we built 20 raised garden beds behind the Methodist Church that are available for any resident to rent for $10 for the entire season from May through October, and that includes water. So it's a really good deal. And to kind of make it that one even sweeter, we developed this year with the University of Illinois Extension Office and also with the Illinois Dunesland Garden Club and the Zion Benton Library, we now have a seed library where there are free seeds packets. All you have to do is go in, you pick up your seed packets, and you go, and you got your $10 raised bed garden, and you can plant a beautiful little garden for yourself. So that's something new that we've also have done this year. The Zion's Butterfly Garden was established last year in cooperation with the Park District. This year in May, we will be going back and replanting that garden for the city to be able to enjoy. And that is located down at the train station. The benches on Sheridan Road, they were evaluated. Some of them were turned around to make it a little bit easier for pedestrians, people just wanting to sit so that they weren't staring at a car or just, right up against the road. We also worked on, for 2 years now, we've done the corn stalks on Sheridan Road during the fall season to make just beautify the place. And if you haven't taken notice, our second mural is going up over on the Flores TU building. It started a couple days ago, and that is being done by, his name is Everett Reynolds, and he is a Zion Benton High School graduate. So that is his, he does murals in the city of Waukegan, specializing in people. So we have our second mural going in, which is, it's an eye catcher. It's gonna bring and make people stop to sit there and look, take the pictures with. And the Chris Kubik with the National Honor Society students spent a good year working on how do we get PACE bus benches, PACE bus stop benches, there we go, I got it in the right order. And so they have put in their first one at 21st and Joppa with a concrete pad underneath because they had to work with the Department of Transportation, with the owners of the home in front, and the owners are very happy. They no longer have a mud pile in front on the corner of their yard there. There's now a nice clean concrete, and if you take notice, there is a divider on the bench to make it so that, you know, the homeless aren't just sitting there sleeping or laying across it, but it can be used by everybody. So, and I just wanted to let you guys know what we were up to. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item is the consent agenda. Clerk, if you would read the consent agenda, please.
Approval of minutes of a regular meeting held on April 4th, 2023 at 7 p.m.
Is there a motion on the minutes?
So moved. Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fisher?
Aye.
Bills, vouchers 143002 through 143096, drawn on Huntington National Bank, total $162,997.88.
Is there a motion on the bills?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fisher?
Aye. Item 7, considering passing resolutions as follows. Item 7A, authorizing the execution of a website maintenance agreement between the City of Zion and GoFlow.com. Per Administrator Nabel.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. This is our annual website maintenance agreement for the city's website, as well as work that's done with Nostalgia Days, maintenance of that. The price, as I noted in here, has been actually unchanged for 9 years. Probably about 4 or 5 years ago, I did a analysis of hours spent on website maintenance annually. And at that time, it was still competitive with other contracting agencies, and without it going up during that time, we're looking at it still being competitive. This year, I will be doing that process again, tracking the hours just to make sure, do our due diligence on that process. We're also looking internally at trying to improve our communications planning and utilize our methods of communication more and utilize the website more, not only for updates and design, but just for direction of, you know, if we're directing public to the website, we want to make sure that it contains everything and stays updated. So with that, it'll probably be a little more workload on him, but that's covered under the scope of work. So I would recommend approval of the renewal as presented.
Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion. Second.
Any discussion, any questions? Okay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fisher?
Aye. Item 7B, authorizing and approving a memorandum of understanding with Illinois Aggregation Consultants for the City of Zion per Mayor Pro Tem Fisher. So, let's see. This is just a renewal of our current agreement, extending it for, how long is this extended for, or is it extended based on the next item in the agenda?
I'm not sure, is this probably 1 year?
Yeah.
I believe it, yeah, you're right, it's 1 year. So the aggregation program has been very successful for us, so is there a motion on this, extending the agreement?
So moved. I'll make a motion to extend the MOU.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fisher?
Aye. Next part of this is 7C, authorize a renewal of aggregation program for electrical load per Mayor Pro Tem Fisher. So this is extending the aggregation program, which we need to get the bids in, as the current contract will be ending, I believe, August. And I would just note that looking at this, that since we started the aviation program, the savings totaled, for businesses and residents, have totaled over $650,000. So the program's been very successful for us, and we'll be looking to extend it. Now, you are our representative?
Yes, happy to.
Yeah, please, come up and give us a little briefing on where we're at and what the next steps are going to be after tonight.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. These are live bids and they're received. Oh, my
Your name, please, for the audience.
Thank you. Sharon Durling of Illinois Aggregation Consultants in Chicago, Illinois.
Okay, thank you.
So live bids were received. The renewal is August, but it's 70 to 90 days to implement a new program. So we're at the deadline of where you could accept or you could choose to reject all of these offers. These are live bids that are held through noon tomorrow. And understand your attorneys reviewed the power supply agreements that the suppliers have presented. So some years, Mayor Pro Tem, hit it out of the park. Some years kind of maintain. Partly, you know, the Ukrainian war really knocked it farther out of the park than we've ever anticipated in the last year and a half. It's over 1.8 million saved, and that was just for a short time. Looking forward, the bids that we have today, 2 offers the council can consider. A fixed rate, you currently have a fixed rate, which we compare with the ComEd to see if there's anything. And alternatively, there's the option that you had a few years ago where it was a ComEd price match. No possibility of folks saving money, nor did they ever, were they ever at risk of paying $1 more or penny more than the ComEd rate. So those are 2 options. And MC Squared Energy Services has provided the best offers. We set a 13-month term because should you renew in September instead of August, we'll have better information. The ComEd rate is released in April of each year, and the timing would be better if you knew exactly what the ComEd rate would be. We don't know if it would be. Today it is 10.165 cents, I said last time I was up here, and we know it's going to drop significantly starting June 1st. So I just have an estimate, and we don't know what it will be, but the estimates are 7.3 to 7.7 cents, which is right about where the lowest fixed rate offer is. So it's kind of here to respond to any questions, but don't have a direct recommendation. I would say there's not a bad choice here. There's not a real obvious best choice, that you could take the no risk and receive an annual contribution. It's just $1,000 a month. Or you can suspend the entire program. I'll state my bias, because aggregation is my middle name. I enjoy doing this. And one thing we hear from some residents is, well, by the way, I live in the city of Chicago. I had 2 different groups knock on my door this week trying to sell electric supply services. So one thing this kind of helps possibly mitigate is folks can say, I'm with the city's program, maybe, or maybe not, that helps to fend off some nefarious sales tactics. So that's where we are. I'm happy to respond to questions about these live bids.
So if I'm reading this correctly, MC Squared, and this is a fixed rate of 7.390?
Yes,
Okay. And that's for a little more than 1 year?
yes, and then the 25-month term is higher, and that would start at month 1, 7.59, and go all the way through 7.59, unchanged for 25 months.
How confident are you on these estimates for ComEd?
Those are the best we can do. I'm not an analyst, and that's not my area of expertise, but I think they're quite good, and typically those ranges that we get from analysts are quite square. Let me be clear, thank you for asking. As you might recall, it's been a couple of years, there's a half-cent floater. The ComEd rate every month can float up or down by a half-cent. So let's say it comes in at 7.3. It could range between 6.8 and 7.8 on any given month. And it does range fairly widely.
Yeah, well, last year, it was a no-brainer to do the aggregation. This year, it's just kind of a wash almost.
It's kind
It
of.
looks like to me, anyway.
I think the advantage to the aggregation is that we lock it in.
Yeah, right.
And
right.
then you know, with the fluctuations, is there a possibility, this just occurred to me, that ComEd knows that aggregation contracts are coming to an end and they might be looking to lowball their initial rates
Short
going
answer-
into the coming year?
Short answer, no. The long answer, no. And that is because ComEd is, I'll just refresh, they only do distribution and they don't even set the supply rate. And I can see why you asked the question. It's a misnomer. It's not set by the ComEd. ComEd
Okay.
doesn't have anything to do with setting that as a state agency.
I
So-
see, okay,
So a very clear no on that one.
okay.
When you hear about ComEd rates going up, that's their distribution, the networking, that's in the middle part of your bill, and this is supply only. In fact, they encourage aggregation. They prefer that people go select their own supplier.
Select their own supplier. Okay. All right, thank you.
So
Clearing that up.
we need to approve one of these suppliers, and we need to choose the term,
Yes, choose.
13 or 25 months.
Either fixed rate or just at the ComEd rate with no risk, or again, the third is to suspend the program for a year and check out.
Was the option two, that price match is whatever the rate is month to month during the period, correct?
Yes, thanks for clarifying. So if the ComEd rate floats down a bit, it floats down identically. We've done that for 6 years now, and we have auditors that check that process, but it tracks it precisely.
But that comes with a minor monetary benefit back to the city,
That's
Yeah.
correct.
so. Did you have a comment?
Yes, I believe that our esteemed city administrator
Are you waving your hand there?
I'm just waving my hand a little bit. I did want to emphasize what Sharon said about kind of the predatory sellers out there going door to door. We have that problem already. We'll get calls frequently from individuals saying, I don't know who this is, they have solicitor's permits, things like that. That have dropped off since we were in the aggregation program, so I think they do look at municipalities and areas that have aggregation versus not, and not going with an aggregation and following Commerce rate. That I think that will put us at significant risk for people to pounce on that.
Yeah.
So there is a intangible benefit of continuing with the aggregation beyond the locking in of a
And-
rate to our residents.
And if our residents don't want to take advantage of the aggregation, they don't have to.
They can opt.
They can opt out.
It's an opt-in unless they provide notice, or an automatic opt-in.
So are
unless
we
they-
wanting a motion tonight to?
Yeah,
set-
it looks like we're gonna need a motion on what we're going to accept with this renewal. So,
Looks like the
because
best
these
deal
bids,
is MC
these bids are
Square.
only good until noon tomorrow.
Looks like the best deal is MC squared at 13 months. Is that correct?
And there is that risk of, if the ComEd rate comes in at 7.3, maybe it would stay at 7.8 for 10 months. Folks would save money. It could also drop to 6.8. So a little bit more of a risk, rate risk for residents. Anyone can opt out, but that's the only opportunity for possible savings is that program. So just whatever the council feels most comfortable.
Because the ComEd rate could be anywhere from 7.3 to 7.7.
That's an estimate.
That's just an estimate. Yeah.
and it'll float a half point based on wherever it comes in.
Yes.
Right.
That's one reason we'd like to go to 13 months. Next year, you can stand up in here and say, we know where the ComEd rate is, and it got some better watermark to look at.
Well, are you going to make a recommendation?
I am not, but I think it's truly 50-50. That's my sense, 50-50.
Anybody got a coin?
I have $1, but I don't know how to put it. I don't think either is bad, and, you could put some savings in the pockets of residents, but there are no guarantees. There aren't guarantees in life, but there are guarantees that no one would save money, nor would there be any rate risk for option two. do you think the residents would?
And so option 2 would still be considered an aggregate, and we could do that for 13 months
Yes.
until we get the more updated information for the
Yes.
next season's renewal. As you said, those update every April, is that right?
Yeah, it's first start June 1st, correct, every year.
Okay. And how is it that the suppliers are able to be competitive and add a different, or supply a different price, I guess, in their services?
Some of them are actual generators. Dynegy Energy owns coal downstate. They're different companies. They hedge differently. They have different analysts, so things are competitive. So
Okay.
are your suppliers.
So it's futures for energy.
Yes, sir.
Got it. Okay.
So, yeah, I believe our Dynegy is our current provider, if I remember correctly. Yes?
That is correct.
That's, yeah. So, but, what's the thoughts of the council? I mean, is 13 months acceptable? Or do we want to roll the dice and go with 25 months for an aggregate?
Well, I mean, I can get this out on the table if you want. Make a motion that we adopt the MC Squared Energy. This is a bid, is that right?
Yes.
For 13 months at 7.390.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. I think that's, personally, I think that's a reasonable move, because we really don't know what the rates are going to do in the next year, so. So there's a motion to accept the 13-month MC Squared Energy at 7.390 with our renewal for the aggregation program. That's correct? Administrator Nabel? Is that
Yes.
what we're doing?
That's correct.
You got any comments about that, David?
No, I mean,
You got a coin?
no, I mean, if I had to, I don't have a coin, but I have my 2 cents, so, you know, they're speculating out when they talk 25, they're looking at hedging against future rate increases. I mean, all of them over beyond a 1 year anticipate increases in futures of the electrical supply. The only thing I'd look at is possibly the 25 month, at 7.59. We might see closer to the ComEd rate, or maybe even a little higher potentially than the ComEd rate, but locking us in for that 2-year period. If rates are gonna go up in that next year, as it looks like they're expecting to, we'd be in that second year locked in at potentially an even greater savings. But again, it's speculation on
It's
futures at
speculation.
this point. So I don't think there's anything wrong with I think the 13 month at the 7.39 is still a good option.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all right. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fisher?
Aye. Okay. So that's our rate for the next 13 months. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you. I might need
I was gonna say, we might have you just stay up there.
Right,
with the-
is there another part? Oh, yeah, the
Solstice Power
Solstice
one.
Power Technologies. So the next part is 7D, authorizing and approving an agreement with Solstice Power Technologies Incorporated for the City of Zion per Mayor Pro Tem Fisher. This is an agreement for this has been discussed at previous meetings, the Solarize. Yeah.
for lowering.
Lower income savings. So, does anybody have any questions about this or want to make a motion on this one? Since we kind of discussed this before.
I'll make a motion that we accept this agreement with Solstice Power Technologies.
Second.
Any further discussion? Any questions for our guest here?
In terms of residents being able to maximize on the offering here, there's some Visa gift cards and things of that nature, right? So are those automatic once they sign up, or is this opt-in?
Yes, it's an opt-in, and once they sign up, I understand it's generated very quickly. You don't have to wait until the power starts to flow, which may be a few months later. It's a process of building out the panels.
And they need to be opted in before July 31st, or?
That's the desirable deadline, but I think it's too aggressive a deadline, so there may be openings after that.
And in terms of marketing or hitting targeted residents, what's the plan there?
Well, that's a call that we'll have with, staff in Solstice, but what they would like to do is do a mailing at their cost to all your residents, if you have a mailing list, or some ideas about how we can reach, maybe some events at which we could reach low-income residents and encourage them to save. This is a program Governor Pritzker kind of pushed about a year and a half ago. So we're just trying to help implement it to reach folks that could use big cut in their electric bill, especially in winter time.
Any further discussion? I think this is a very interesting program. I look forward to seeing how this gets, how many residents take advantage of this. This would be a good program for some people. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fisher?
Aye. Thank you very much. Next item, temporary road closure nostalgia days per Chief Barden.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. In preparation for summer activities and festivals, I will respectfully request the City Council authorize and approve a resolution for the closure of Sheridan Road for the Nostalgia Days Car Show and Cruise, lined out for Saturday, June 17th of 2023. The resolution is necessary because Sheridan Road is a state highway. The specifics of this road closure are as follows. Sheridan Road would close from 21st Street to 33rd Street, or to 31st Street rather, both north and southbound lanes on Saturday, June 17th, 2023 from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
I'll make that motion.
Second? Is there a second?
Second?
Okay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fisher?
Aye. Item 8A, authorizing insurance to provide insurance brokerage services and renew a certain insurance policy for cyber insurance per Administrator Nabel.
Thank you. We added this insurance coverage a couple years ago as cyber crime and crypto hijackings and all that fun stuff is continuing to be more of a risk for organizations. Assurance went out to market, our brokers went out to market. Happy to report that we are actually getting a reduced premium as insurance rates go up. This one came back at a quote that's $3,800 less than our prior year premium. So I would recommend that we go with Corvus as presented for an annual premium of $24,881.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Question. By any chance, is the reduce in the rate due to some of the risk mitigations that have happened over the last several years with the renewals?
We did implement that. I think we had Beasley prior, and before they would quote, they had us implement some. They did a system analysis of basically like the risk points in our system, and we implemented a lot of those changes to kind of tighten up the security. With those being in place, we did become more attractive to other quotes. Beasley, however, still came in higher. So Corvus is a good company as well, but controlling those costs was definitely because of implementation here.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fisher?
Aye. 8A, authorizing a collective bargaining agreement between the Fraternal Order of Police, David M. Parker Memorial Lodge, number 91, and the Illinois FOP Labor Council Patrol, and the City of Zion for May 1, 2023 through April 30th, 2026, per Administrator Nabel.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. Happy to say for the first time in the last few contracts, we're actually getting the contract before we go into the fiscal year, so we don't have to deal with retro pay and things of that. But it was a very good negotiations with both the patrol and the sergeants' bargaining units, which we'll have as the next item. As a result, you have the contract before you. I would recommend approval of the collective bargaining agreement with the patrol officer bargaining unit or as presented.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fisher?
Aye. Item 8C, authorizing a collective bargaining agreement between the Fraternal Order of Police, David M. Parker Memorial Zion Lodge, number 91, and the Illinois FOP Labor Council Sergeants and the City of Zion for May 1, 2023 through April 30th, 2026, per Administrator Nabel.
Thank you again. As I said, the sergeant's contract is kind of a piggyback on the patrol contract, so they get percentages over the top patrol officer. We couldn't approve the sergeant's contract until we got the patrol contract approved, so they kind of just go boom, boom, one right after another. Nothing else significant change in the contract, so I'd recommend the approval for the sergeant's bargaining unit as presented.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fisher?
Aye. Item 8D, authorizing and approving an agreement for waste collection services between Waste Management and the City of Zion per Administrator Nabel.
Thank you. This is my last one before Director Ryanson takes over the rest of the meeting. As I talked in the last council meeting, our garbage and yard waste contract is expiring at the end of this month. Waste Management exercised their option to basically terminate the contract, which is what was required to open negotiations with them for for continuation of services. There was some significant changes, a lot of those industry driven, that are going to be implemented as part of this contract, but we're going to try and get notification out to all the residents as soon as possible to give as much time as possible to implement these changes. Just to kind of go through some of them, effective May 1st, 2023, the charge to the city for all services will be $27 per residential unit per month. This is an increase of 13.4% over our current charge. Effective May 1st of 2024, those charges will be reduced by 2.8%. That's due to the removal of the annual leaf vacuuming services. Again, there's a 1-year final kind of term on the leaf vacuuming services. They're terminating those services. Yard waste pickup for bagging and bundling of sticks will continue as normal. But as far as the equipment cost, the personnel costs, and basically the liability to the companies, they're just moving away from those services, at least at any level that makes it cost effective for us to justify. The rates for subsequent years, it's a 5-year term, will increase by 5% annually. Effective September 4th, alley and garbage pickup and yard waste services will have to be moved to curbside pickup, similar to recycling. So there will be no more alley pickup of garbage and yard waste. Again, that was a kind of a non-negotiable from them. Their entire fleet is moving to like those automated arm type equipment. They can do the same amount of garbage pickup with an automated vehicle, in half the time. So they're actually going to be twice as efficient in their time, and they can do it with less staff. They couldn't, from a financial standpoint and an industry standpoint, that they have to go to that route to make it feasible. And the reason that we had non-automated on the alleys was because of utility lines up above. the arms go up and over, and they'd be pulling down power lines and things like that. So they can't continue to do that on alley pickup, so that has to be moved to the front. And again, even though the contract is effective May 1st, we were waiting for implementation of this until September so that we can get proper notification out, get flyers out. We're gonna do mailings to everyone, as many notifications as we can to get this out to the public for that movement to the front. And then also effective September 4th, the recycling pickup will change from weekly to bi-weekly, so every other week. Residents will have the opportunity to change cart size if they want to scale up to a larger cart at no cost from May 1st to July 31st. And additional carts may actually be rented from Waste Management for $3 per cart per month. So again, we looked in at options of continuing like an as-is to not have this kind of transition. They quoted it was a 38% increase over current versus the 13%, which was basically just delaying the inevitable, because it would have been a 1 year major increase, and then once prices get in there, I know it's probably never comes back, so we would have ended up having to switch to this in the subsequent year anyway, and probably would have been at a higher rate. So we're deciding to kind of rip the Band-Aid on this off now, and try and minimize the impact and cost. So I would recommend approval of the contract as presented. You do have before you an updated contract from what was in the packet. There are 2 highlighted items that's what changed from what was originally in your packet. Basically, in comparing contract language, we noticed that there was not language in there for backdoor waste collection for disabled residents that we've had in the past. That was just added back in. And then also we get roll-off waste containers for special events or the city cleanup days and things like that at no cost to us. In the past, we had 30, we have 45 written into the contract here. So 2 additions that just were excluded from the original contract. So those are the only changes in there. So as I said, I'd recommend approval of the waste, recycling, waste, and yard waste agreement as presented.
David, I have a question before we move on this. So, what if there are more than 30 residential units that have occupants that are
We
disabled?
get charged $10 per pickup beyond the 30.
Okay.
But we don't pass that on to the resident for that cost.
Do you know what we currently have? How many that take advantage of this? Well, I guess it doesn't matter because we've got alley pickup, right?
Right.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve this agreement with Waste Management.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions?
So I still have concerns and I guess questions about the no alley pickup. So I could not understand the technology, but I'm guessing for like the lawn bags and things like that, those are still going to be manually picked up. And then in addition, I do not want to see bulk items in the front lawn being picked up. So has there been any thorough discussion around additional options there?
There's been discussion, but they're trying to, in all honesty, they're trying to work out the logistics of this all as well. They don't know whether yard waste will continue to be manually picked up. They're looking at, for the fleets, I mean, it's bags and stuff like that, but they may be able to do automated on that in the future. It's a 5-year agreement, so I think they're just saying move that to the front as well at the same time, so that they don't have trucks going through the alleys and trucks on the streets, and having a dual kind of purpose. As far as the bulk items, I don't know. I mean, we do have bulk pickup sometimes in the front as is, because we're a take all. So a lot of times you'll see, unfortunately, in spring cleaning, you'll have big, beds, mattresses, and things out front. But they haven't, whether they're supposed to or not. But I can talk with them about whether we can do that going forward, and that would be part of our. We could probably do that. Still kind of negotiate with them on that. Logistically, I don't know that would be a difference for them. And that would be in the communication piece that we put out if we're able to continue that.
Well, you have to call Waste Management to arrange for bulk pickup in this contract.
Right. It's just a matter of when it's
Can't
arranged
just
on the
take-
front or the back.
Yeah, you can't just take it out. And I think what was discussed is that we would have some kind of monitoring system so that we don't have a missed pickup with bulk items in front. So that was my concern as well. We didn't have unsightly, couches and whatever is out in front. It's gotta be picked up. And if it's missed, there's gotta be some way of mitigating that.
And we're looking internally at, again, kind of need to do the contract, and that's why we haven't done the waste fund. Part of the reason we haven't done the waste fund budget is we have to talk about the logistics of this and whether within the waste fund itself, we're looking at there's probably a need for an additional personnel to basically be like a liaison between waste management and the public for whether there's missed pickups, whether there's people not bringing in their garbage and leaving it out there and it blows into the streets. Whether residents call up and go, hey, they missed it out here, we can have some, staff to help coordinate that. And basically make sure there's compliance with the contract. Also directing, if there's additional directing resources of our street sweeper, we have one sweeper. But if we find that there's garbage in certain areas, that liaison can, we're looking at probably through the building department, from a code enforcement. They do a lot of garbage related enforcement already. That would probably be the best fit, but work with Public Works and the public. Trying to clean that up and deal with complaints. We know there's gonna be a bumpy conversion here, but then once we get through that, hopefully we'll see only improved service by having somebody internally to mitigate a lot of that.
And the free upsize is just for recycling because of every other week, not for regular trash, right?
Correct.
Any further discussion? You have a first and second, correct?
Yes.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson? Mayor Pro Tem Fisher?
Aye. So Administrator Nable's off the hook for a while. All right, 8E, consider approval of a text amendment to section 70-1282 of the Zion Municipal Code to allow electronic signs for schools and churches in a residential district with the issuance of a special use permit per Director Ianson.
Thank you, sir. This is more of a housekeeping measure to prevent any conflict in our municipal code. The staff is requesting a text amendment to section 71.82 Zion Municipal Code to allow electronic signs for schools and churches in residential district with the issuance of a special use permit.
Make the motion.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fisher?
Aye. Item 9A, consider zoning docket 23Z4 and ordinance requesting a special use permit to section 7128.2 of the Zion Municipal Code to install an electronic digital sign in replacement of the existing one for the property at 1910 Gilboa Avenue per Director Ianson. Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval with conditions.
Thank you, sir. School districts are required to go through the zoning review process. Zion Elementary School District 6 is requesting a special use permit to section 71.82 of the Zion Municipal Code to install an electronic sign in replacement of an existing sign. At the planning and zoning meeting of April 6th, they recommend to approve the condition with conditions that we amend section 128.2 of the Zion Municipal Code to have school and electronic signs in the residential district, which you did prior to the previous chapter.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fisher?
Aye. 9B, consider zoning docket 23Z5 and ordinance requesting a special use permit to section 7128.2 of the Zion Municipal Code to install an electronic digital sign in replacement of the existing one for the property at 29 13 Elam Avenue, per Director Ianson. Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval with the conditions.
This is the same request, sir, at the east school location.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fisher?
Aye. 9C, consider zoning docket 23Z6 and ordinance requesting a variance to section 26381 of Design Municipal Code to relocate the driveway from the rear to the front of the property and change the minimum size requirement per Director Ianson. Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Medina is requesting a variance in section 26-381 of the Design Municipal Code to relocate a driveway from the rear to the front of the property. In addition, he would like to change the minimum size from 22 by 20 to 14 by 100. The April 6, 2023 zoning commission meeting, the recommends approval of the variance request.
Is there a motion?
Make the motion.
Second?
Any discussion? Questions?
I have a question. Did this require any of like residential approval? I apologize if I missed that.
Well, it went through the review process and that has been approved. Just a matter of the variance for the location and size.
Thank you.
Okay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fisher?
Aye. 9D, consider zoning docket 23Z7 and ordinance requesting approval of a plat of consolidation for future expansion and development for property at 1915 Industrial Drive per Director Ianson. Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval.
Thank you, sir. Kennedy Horn and Associates Inc. on behalf of Quaker Oak is requesting an approval of plan consolidation for future expansion and development. At the April 6, 2023 planning and zoning meeting, the recommends approval of plan consolidation request.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? I do have a question. Do you know? This is for an expansion of a tank storage facility?
Well, there is a tank storage facility under construction right now. We're just consolidating the remaining parcels out there for any future expansion.
For future expansion?
Correct.
Okay. And so, and I believe if I read this correctly, so they've accounted for environmental conditions in case of spillage or leakage?
They're working with the LMIP.
Okay, so they're all squared away on that? Okay, thank you very much. Any further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fisher?
Aye. 9E, tabulation of bids, Public Works Facility Security Gate per Director Roberts.
Thank you, sir. A bid opening was held on April 11th, 2023 for the Public Works Facility Security Gates. The bid was received from Electrical Contractors, Inc. for the installation of 2 automatic vehicle security gate controllers, repair and upgrade of 2 keypad pedestals. Staff requests and recommends awarding this project bid to the Electrical Contractors, Inc. out of Mundelein, Illinois, in the amount of $35,915. Funding for this project is a budgeted item within the fiscal year capital fund and water fund. Copies of the bid tabs are on file in the clerk's office, the public works office, and will be posted on the city website.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Clerk, how old is the existing gate? Do you know?
25 years.
I'd say we got a service, that's good service out of that. That's not bad.
We've been limping our along.
Yeah, just hanging in there. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fisher?
Aye. Departmental commentary. Director Ianson, do you have anything for us?
We're still taking applications for our seasonal lawn program. We have 1 position for a supervisor and 2 positions, maybe 3 on seasonal cutters. We're still taking applications now.
Director Roberts.
Thank you, sir. Just like to remind residents, starting Monday, next week, the 24th, the 2-week leaf program, vacuum program will start.
And this will, and as in the contract we just authorized, this will be the last year for
For the spring pickup. We will still
spring
have a
pickup.
fall.
We still have a fall pickup coming.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
You sure? You sure? Okay. Chief Barton.
Good evening again, thank you. Just a couple things. We have included some flyers in the water bill mailing that will be coming out at a couple days. Just as a reminder for noise and firework violations and what the code is, there's a QR code on the flyer, so you can scan it with your phone. If you can't do that, you can always call us, we'll explain what it is. Basically, don't be loud and don't shoot off fireworks. That's as basic as I can get it. But that is a reminder that we're going to be cracking down on those things coming forward this year. Also, I spoke to the noise we've had as things warm up, as weather warms up, your windows are open, you're going to be hearing your neighbors a little bit more often, possibly. So just be mindful of the noise that you may make. And then one last thing that we've had come up, and this is probably also cyclical for this time of year, is your pets. Make sure your dogs are on leashes. If you are walking your dogs, they have to be on leashes. If you're gonna let them out the door, make sure they're in a yard or a fenced-in area that is contained and they can't escape from. We've had some issues in the last weeks where there's been attacks on people or on other animals. We never want to see anybody get hurt or any other animal get hurt, but unfortunately that's happened in the last few weeks. So we'd like to keep that down to a minimum if possible. So make sure your fences are fixed after the winter and your dogs and other animals are contained.
Chief, I know there'll probably be some more communications coming out, but I've heard some chatter of folks wondering what are these posts that are going up along their streets. So can you talk a little bit about the license plate readers and the gunshot detection?
Absolutely. So over the last few years, and as I was appointed, when asked what my goals were, one of those was to look towards technology to help us with alleviating some of our crime issues. Phase one was the license plate readers. We have implemented those. They've been active. Although we've had issues with permitting with the IDOT and Lake County DOT, we've had 10 cameras up that are automatic license plate readers. And frankly, I think these are probably the most effective technology or tool that we've seen since I've been in law enforcement. They've been tremendously effective for identifying criminals or crime-related incidents post-crime. So this isn't like we're looking into the future or we're watching them. We're not monitoring them live. They don't work that way. But they've allowed us to identify offenders in crimes ranging from very simple things, stolen cars, all the way up to homicide. So very, very effective tool. Phase two of that was a system that we initially looked at. The other product was called ShotSpotter. You may have heard of that. ShotSpotter had an issue in Chicago with the cost of the program. It was extremely expensive. And so we were looking for other options. We were able to work with the company that has our license plate readers, and they've developed a product, and they've just within the last couple of weeks finished up installation of those microphones. Again, not listening to your conversations, but our artificial intelligence coded to identify sounds similar to gunshots. So it's a learning system. So if fireworks happen, we go out there, we identify it as fireworks, we enter in as fireworks, and the system learns. So that's what you've seen. We've gotten 1 square mile of those microphones installed in an area that we identified as, providing a heat map or a concentration of those calls or evidence related to those calls. So we're hoping over the coming months that that system will get fine tuned and perfected, but that's what that is, and we're really looking to see a positive effect on it.
Thank you. Just one more thing, Chief. Can you clarify to the public that the flock cameras are not red light or stop ticket cameras?
That's correct. So, as I said, these things are related to crime identification. For instance, let me give you an example. If we had a robbery at a gas station, and we didn't have a vehicle plate number, but we had a vehicle type. Well, we can search the system to find that vehicle type, and if there's a very unique identifier on that vehicle, we can find it, track it, and then pull the plate off that. What it doesn't do is, if they're on Lewis Avenue, for instance, it doesn't tell us how fast you're going. If it doesn't tell us if they're at a stop sign, it doesn't tell us if you stopped at the stop sign. It just identifies the vehicle. It doesn't tell us who's driving the vehicle. It doesn't tell any of that stuff. It's very just simply looking at the rear end of your car, taking a photograph of that, and it stores it. The company that we utilize is called Flock. They worked very aggressively, very early on with the ACLU to prevent any kind of overextension of the law or categorizing or saving data on citizens. That's not what we're doing. So there's a 30-day expungement period. So the information is only held for 30 days. So we're only looking at active related or crimes with recent active activations of the camera. So we're not going back 2 years, identifying or tracking where you drove. It is simply, if we can find a vehicle that matches the description in an offense, we can search that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Director Conway, do you have anything for us tonight?
Just that vehicle sticker sale deadline, the renewal dates end on April 30th. So you'll need your stickers by April 30th. Otherwise, there could be some enforcement issues through our police department to make sure everyone's getting their sticker. So it's easier and cheaper to get them now than to wait till you're in trouble.
Administrator Nabel, have you got anything else for us tonight?
Last week we had probably our 4th or 5th community dialogue event, very well attended, Wednesday night. The primary focus of that was there was some informational sharing and education to the public, but the focus groups we had were requesting feedback from the public for each of our taxing bodies on what they want our priorities to be and our focus to be going forward. Specifically as it relates to the funding that we're still pursuing and hoping to get under the CEJA Act as it relates to nuclear storage compensation. We think that as part of that grant from DCEO that they're going to require stakeholder engagement and feedback, basically public input on how to best utilize those funds. So we took the opportunity to do that at this community event. That being said, for those that were unable to attend, we are processing that feedback. We're going to be putting together a survey that we're going to be sharing out on social media and other locations, probably designed quarterly, depending on timelines, but asking for continued feedback, strongly agree, strongly disagree type survey on services and infrastructure and where we utilize the funds so that we can compile together that information as well. So keep an eye out if you hear something about a survey out there, see something, that's what it relates to, and we would appreciate your participation on that or sharing it out once you see it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. That's all you got. Nothing, Commissioner McGowan? Okay. I would just note that with the coming meeting on May 2nd, we're all going to participate in, that part of democracy, which is the continuation of government. We will be swearing in or returning members of this council and the mayor, and it may seem to be kind of a routine thing, but I think it's important that we recognize that a vote was held, people were elected, and we move on, and we have a new administration, a new term for 2 of our commissioners and for the mayor. So, please, if you can, we'd like to have you as our guest. So please come and see us. So that will be on May 2nd. That will be the Zion City Council meeting at 7 p.m. This council will conduct business and then adjourn, and then we will swear in our members for the new term. On May 16th, there will be the Zion Township Board meeting, followed by the City Council meeting. And at that point, the next item is to adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second. Okay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes? Aye. Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Bishop?
Aye. Thank you all for coming, and have a good evening.
Not quite 10 minutes.
Come on.
Hour and 7.
Not the worst, but definitely not the best. No close.
That's $1 million.
You're right.